Hey, everybody, welcome to Fantasy Whiplash, brought to you by our good friends at State Farm right here on opensports.com. As always, I'm your host, Sid Rosenberg, and today on the show, we have Paul Greco of FantasyPros911.com. Going to talk some fantasy baseball. Paul, how are you today, buddy?
The great Sid Rosenberg. What's going on, my friend? How you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much. And I like that, the great Sid Rosenberg. You've obviously listened to my show over the years. You got that little thing going there. Nice job.
Absolutely, pal. Let's get rocking and rolling, man.
Let's do it then. Let's start with the Boston Red Sox, fresh off their easy win, 7-0 over the Yankees last night. Another great performance by Josh Beckett. Paul, David Ortiz, struggling all season, gets his eyes checked, and he's got 2 homers in his last 3 games. So all of a sudden now, inching ever closer to 200 behind a 7-game hit streak, or a few eye drops to cure for the many headaches he's given fantasy owners along the way.
Yeah, you know what? You take a look at what David Ortiz did at the beginning of the season. Very frustrating for David Ortiz and the Red Sox. We saw him drop to 6th in the batting order, Sid. And, you know, the thing that it is when these guys come off the injuries like David Ortiz did this offseason, it takes them a little while to get these guys going. We saw the same type of injury to Derek Lee, Ricky Weeks. It takes these guys, especially from a power standpoint, to get that swing back. And it's interesting to see, you know, David Ortiz finally starting to get in the flow of things. And, you know, what's interesting is the New York Post reported, Sid, the other day that, you know, David Ortiz may not be the 33 as indicated on his birth certificate. You know, the scouts are saying it's impossible that he's 33 years old only. So it's interesting to see that information like this comes out, of course, right before the Boston Red Sox are playing the New York Yankees. But, you know, David Ortiz taking it to the Yankees last night. And I'll tell you what, from a fantasy standpoint, this is a guy that might be an interesting pick, especially as a buy low candidate going into the second half of this season. If you could pick him up, you probably get yourself between 10 and 12 home runs towards the end of the season.
All right, right now, the Red Sox, like you said, taking on the New York Yankees. The Mets taking on the Philadelphia Phillies. Santana beats the Phillies on Monday night. Now, coming up this weekend, the Red Sox have the Philadelphia Phillies this weekend. No DH. Will fantasy owners see Big Papi in the lineup?
Well, I'll tell you what, the way the Red Sox are rolling with right now with Euclid at first, Mike Lowe at third. David Ortiz might get a start from what we're being told at FantasyPros911.com and BaseballDigest.com. Is they're looking to probably get him in one start this weekend, but again, he's probably going to be using a late inning pinch hit role. So, you know, David Ortiz fantasy value for this weekend might not be as high as we'd expect. But of course, you know, David Ortiz is that kind of guy that you could put in if you're in a daily league and you keep your eye on what the Boston Red Sox will do, because a lot of these teams will announce their lineup several hours before the teams actually take the field. So if you're a fantasy owner that's in a head-to-head league where you can do daily transactions, you will want to stay close to see what the Red Sox are going to do on a daily basis.
Paul, now some other guys struggling across Major League Baseball pretty badly. In fact, Garrett Atkins, now Jay Bruce of the Cincinnati Reds, a couple of guys in Arizona, both B.J. Upton and Chris Young, really struggling for the Diamondbacks. What's the deal with those guys right now?
When you take a look at Garrett Atkins' numbers, Sid, over the last 3 years, he's declined in the power in home runs and RBIs over the last 3 years. And one of the things that you got to take a look at, that should be a significant sign, especially for a hitter of his caliber who's in that nice power range as the age group, as many fantasy owners like to look at. So very concerned with Garrett Atkins. He's a guy that wasn't very high at the beginning of the season, and he's showing that he really can handle the pressure, especially after Matt Holliday being traded over to the A's. Now, Chris Young is an interesting topic because a lot of guys were hoping this was going to be a player that was going to turn it around, looking for, 25-25, maybe even 30-30. But this is a guy that still cannot put the ball in play consistently. And until he can do that, a lot of fantasy owners I'm seeing lately are placing Chris Young on the bench. We get a lot of phone calls over at FantasyPros911.com on how to handle this situation. And right now, you have to take a look at, can you dump this guy and get value, whatever value it is right now, or do you hold on to him and hope that he could turn around? Right now, the way we're taking a look at it is this is a guy that's going to be struggling all year long. We're not going to see that consistently, and he's going to hover around the batting average he has right now. When we talk about B.J. Upton, though, B.J. Upton I'm salivating over him right now. This is a guy in mid-May that was batting 177 coming off again, the wrist injury, and you take a look at batting average up to now 216, and if you could get B.J. Upton to hit you between 265, 275, maybe even 280 by the end of the season, that's going to be a great turnaround. I think he's a great buy low candidate, especially if you're looking for stolen bases. He's going to get you about 40. And I think, when you take a look at his power numbers, we saw what he did in the playoffs last year. This is a guy that seemingly can turn it on when he wants. Hopefully he can get you somewhere between 8 and 12 home runs the rest of the season. So, and Jay Bruce was supposed to be the love of the Cincinnati Reds this year, struggling mightily as the big left-hander. Just can't seem to put the ball in place, Sid. And this is a guy, though, you want to buy low on him. If you can get him and make a move, I think this is a guy that could turn around the second half of the season because, again, the Cincinnati Reds are a team that are going to be a spark plug in the National League Central. I think it's going to have to hover around Jay Bruce, and hopefully Joey Votto can come back from the depression that he's having, the anxiety he's having. This is a team that's going to have to be messed with in the second half of this season.
The Braves in the news quite a bit last week, Paul, as we know. First, the Braves screwing Tom Glavine big time. I mean, as a Met fan, I'm still mad about Glavine giving up a touchdown in the first inning to the Marlins a couple of years ago at the top of the first inning. But he really got screwed here big time, right in the ass. So Glavine's out of Atlanta, but they make a big trade with the Pirates and bring in Nate McLouth. Now Chipper Jones hits 3 home runs in 2 days. They scored 6 runs for Derek Lowe last night. So McLouth making a difference for the Brave baseball team. What about him individually, his fantasy impact for the Atlanta Braves?
Well, I'll tell you what, I think it's going to be huge. I think Nate McLouth gets a nice change of scenery, Sid. And, you put him in a line that's got Brian McCann, Chipper Jones. I mean, this is a team that's going to be reckoned with. It always seems that the Braves can pull off these nice little trades to try to get themselves back in the pennant race. And, right now, with the way the Mets are playing and the injuries that they're having, the Braves actually have a shot. Philadelphia, the big thing about Philadelphia is that the 7th inning and on, they're a dangerous offensive team. So you don't want your middle relief guys having to pitch these guys. But you take a look at Nate McLouth now in the middle of the line. He's going to be batting third instead of batting leadoff for the lonely Pirates. And I'm loving Nate McLouth. If you can get this guy, I think he's going to have a phenomenal second half. He doesn't have to have the pressure like he did in Pittsburgh, where he really had to carry that team because no one else really can hit there. Now he's got guys surrounding him. He can go out there, play center field, a gold glove type caliber center fielder. I love this trade. I love what the Braves did picking him up. They got the option, and you get him cheap. I mean, the players that they gave up, you're not going to see really in the major leagues until maybe the end of this year, maybe next year. So I love the Nate McLouth deal. I think it's going to be great for fantasy owners. If you can get him now, I definitely make the move if you can.
Agreed. Now, I just mentioned Tom Glavine here, Paul, moments ago. Glavine out there right now to be had by somebody. Pedro Martinez, who pitched well in the World Baseball Classic. He's still out there to be had by somebody. And even former Milwaukee Brewer Ben Sheets is still out there. What about some of these veteran pitchers getting up in age or oft injured? Do you expect these guys to be on a baseball roster anytime soon?
Well, I'll tell you what, Sid, we're doing a lot of stuff, especially with Tom Glavine trying to get the feelers. And a couple of teams that are out there, the Los Angeles Dodgers had some interest. The Philadelphia Phillies, of course, had some interest. Phillies really looking to get another starting pitcher. So Tom Glavine's going to have the opportunities. It's whether or not he's going to want to go to the West Coast because, as we know, Tom Glavine is the guy that wanted to stay on the East Coast somewhere. So, if he goes to the Dodgers, to me, that's a perfect situation because you go to Dodger Stadium. It's a great pitcher's ballpark. You're going to a winning team. Unlike if he went to Philadelphia, where you're playing in a home run stadium, you know what? And I don't think it's really good for a left-handed pitcher, especially someone like a Tom Glavine. You already have Jamie Moore here to 40. I think he's like 95 now, Jamie Moore. Still throwing puck balls, but getting guys out. But, Pedro Martinez, the problem right now that I'm hearing from some execs that I talked to is his asking price. He's still wanting a lot of money to go pitch, and, the problem is that the fastball's not there. You have to rely more on the changeup, the off-speed to get hitters off balance. So if the team makes a bid for him, Pedro Martinez's price tag's really going to have to come down. Now, Ben Sheets, who's actually working out up in Arlington, Texas, staying close to home is where he's working out right now. And there's still feelings about the Texas Rangers wanting to pick up a guy like Ben Sheets. But the problem is, the surgery, whether he's going to come back healthy. A lot has to be proven by Ben Sheets before any GM is going to put their finger on a pitcher like that has a tendency to break down all the time.
Interesting, though, Texas, the biggest surprise in baseball right now, ahead of the Angels in the AL West. They can use a guy like Sheets if he can stay healthy down the stretch. As always, Paul, we close out our Fantasy Whiplash with the Open Sports Sleeper, the Fantasy Sleeper of the Week for next week. Who's your choice, Paul?
Well, I'll tell you what, you take a look at what Doug Davis is doing, and, the record may not show the type of pitcher he is, but you take a look at the ERA, you take a look at the whip and the strikeouts, and this is a guy that's a nice source of a 3-4 on your roster. Next week he's going up against the Kansas City Royals and the Seattle Mariners. 2 decent starts for Doug Davis, who's coming off 6 scoreless innings against the San Diego Padres. So if you're looking for a guy, take a look at Doug Davis. And another guy, Sid, just a little tidbit, is Colby Rasmus is moving into the 4th spot in that batting order for the St. Louis Cardinals. To me, this is a huge opportunity for Colby Rasmus to really show the type of prospect everybody's been drooling about over the last couple of years, a 5'2" guy. So you take a look at him, but Doug Davis is definitely going to be a guy that you can pick up on the waiver wire. If you can make a move for Colby Rasmus, this is just a little tidbit from your Uncle Paul here. He's moving in the 4 spot with great RBI chances now.
Paul, excellent job. Can't thank you enough, Paul Greco. The 411, the information, Paul, that was fantastic. Thank you so much for stopping by today. Really terrific job.
All right, thanks, Paul. Appreciate the opportunity. I'd love to sit there and talk to you guys again. Take care now.
Thank you very much. FantasyPros911.com. Also, the associate editor of BaseballDigest.com. A terrific job today by Paul Greco. That's going to do it for this edition of Fantasy Whiplash, brought to you by our good friends at State Farm right here on Open Sports. I'm Sid Rosenberg. Be sure to come back on Friday as we go down on the farm with Tyler Hissey for some draft grading on this week's draft. Until then, we'll see you Friday right here on Open Sports. The future of sports on the web is open.